Hey, good morning again, and welcome to our class. We're going to start talking about communication strategies because that's the topic that we need to start checking for this class. Is Unit 1. Let me just remind you that we're going through Unit 1 and we're checking on communication strategies. This class is for the English Conversation Seminar. You already have some homework on the platform that it's been opened and it's going to take a week to process. So you have about a week. You have an essay that you need to be careful about what you're going to write. And you're going to have a little more work for next week. Next week, we're going to talk about elevator pitches, which is a topic that you are not used to. It's common, but you are not used to because it's more related to professional life. And also, we don't talk much about it in Spanish, even though an elevator pitch is related to any language. So we're going to talk about that next week. But this week, we're just going to mention about communication strategies in terms of what communication is in general and what we should be doing, and try to move to study some strategies to make our communication better or much better and kind of more fluent in terms of not just English, but any language. So let's just go and start with this. And please take a look at this image that you're seeing right now on your pages, which is communication. This should be about the general definition of communication, which is, as you can see over here, communication is defined as the exchange of information. If we take a look at what we have here, it's the exchange of information. Oh my goodness, I just dropped this one. Let me just clear all of this because it's making a mess. So it is the exchange of information between a sender, exchange of information, between a sender and a receiver. So it's talking about information. And it should be more than that, but remember that we're talking about generally speaking. Generally speaking, this is what communication means. Then we can talk about it visually, what it really is. We are exchanging information, and there's a sender and it's a receiver. If you have a sender, which should be a person, we're talking about human communication, not other type of communication, of course. There should be a person who is called the sender. And of course, there should be another person who should be the receiver, right? But how do we call or how do we manage to understand the information? That's what we call the message, which is in the middle. And as we are engineers, we're talking about a process. Mainly for engineers, a process, we always have a box where the process is in the middle. We have entrance and entrance information which goes in, and we have information who is going out. So basically, every type of engineer will understand this type of process. Okay, so we want to understand this exchange of information as a process. And as you can see here on this diagram, we have that box. We have then information from the sender, info, I'm just going to abbreviate that, from the sender. And then there is info in the terms of the process coming out from the process that the receiver will get. And the process, that's why it's called the message. But in terms of different type of information, the communication changes between the process. If we have what we call face-to-face between humans, meaning you and me in front of each other, then that's what is called face-to-face. It's usually in person. Usually not over these times, but usually when you can meet with somebody else, when you are present, then we call it face-to-face. But right now we are exchanging information through a screen, through a computer screen or through a cell phone screen. But it's close to face-to-face. The difference here is that we are using an electronic device and some software or program to get the process of communication. Whereas if we are present face-to-face, one person in front of the other, we don't need a computer screen. We just need to see each other's faces. There's a big difference right now, because right now, you guys can see me. You're the receivers right now, you can see me, but I can't see you. So the complete face-to-face process, it's nearly impossible right now because you are not showing your video, you are not showing your face. And if you are not showing your face, then we cannot consider this type of communication as face-to-face. But still, it's part of the communication process. That's why I'm referring to it as a process, communication process. Double S, okay? So in the process, we have a message that needs to be transmitted. And right now, what we're doing is using a channel, which a channel right now is what we are using as a Zoom room, which is the video conference. Okay, but still, it's a channel. But what happens when we're doing this face-to-face? What's the channel? Well, the channel becomes more simple. It's just about the sounds that we are making when we are verbally speaking or orally. So the channel is just the air that, well, actually, if we go to the technical parts of it, it will be the particles that are suspended in the air that can get the sound and can keep transmitting the sound. So it's about the transmissions of sounds. But it's not just that. The channel also becomes part of the visual part. Visual. What the sender and the receiver are watching. Because remember that something in communication that is very, very, very super important will be body language. Your expressions on your face, your movements from your hands, your body gestures, everything is part of the channel and the code of the message. Just as a little example, when you are having communication, one person to other, one in front of the other, not speaking, but looking at each other. One person has a happy face and the other person has a happy face, like the receiver here, but with the crossed hands through the body. The arms are crossed. Then the happy expression is not as happy as it should be because your body language is telling something else. So that's why there's always some code hiding inside the body language. Body language is always very important to the code for the message to be transmitted. Okay, So what I'm trying to say here is that when we're talking about communication, it's not just about these simple things as just the sender, the receiver, and a message. No, it's much more than that. Way more than that. And of course, there's always going to be something like this, like some noise. And I'm not talking about sounds on the noise. I'm talking about something more, distraction. Yeah, there could be a little some sounds, but it's not just that. Some distractions, and nowadays, if we're gonna talk about communication with the younger generations, people in their 20 years old, or people in their 10s, like teenagers, communications becomes really hard right now, nowadays, because this noise, it's big distraction. When we're trying to talk face to face, when we're trying to communicate face to face, and we have, or we are carrying these type of devices in front of the others, and we are just putting our attention in our devices instead of looking at the other person, guess what? Body language completely stops. There's none. And actually, if you're speaking but not looking at each other and looking at something else, you're totally distracted. Then there is so much noise in between the channel or in the process for communication. And of course, there's not going to be good feedback when the receiver answers back. The quality of this type of communication is bad because there is a lot of noise. So I'm trying to define all of these words that you are seeing here without even using a dictionary. So let me explain this to you. What I'm trying to put here in this class is I'm trying to show you that you can understand another language by using all of your sense, but understanding by looking, hearing, speaking, concentrating, sometimes touching, using that sense, sometimes, of course, using your sense of smell. That's also part of communication. If you put everything together, then you start understanding any language. It doesn't matter if it's not English. It could be Cantonese. It could be French. It could be Italian. It could be English, of course. So part of communication in any language has to include not just the sender and the receiver, but also in the process, it's very, very important to use your body. Because this is international language. All of these type of movements, it's international language. I'm looking at you, I'm paying attention to you. I'm observing you. I'm watching how you move your mouth. I'm watching how you look at me. I'm watching if you are forward to me or if you are backwards, if you are not really paying attention, if you are falling asleep while listening to me. So that's why body language becomes very, very, or super important through the process of communication. And of course, what we're saying here also, the information that we are communicating, which is the coding, the code, which becomes coding. And it will depend on what the process or the channels are. Like I was saying, it's very different if we are trying to communicate verbally or orally speaking, face to face, one in front of the other, or if we are using also not face to face, but we could be communicating through different types of channels, like we could be using our phones, and that's communication. Nowadays, like right before we started the class, we were using WhatsApp. That's an application on our phones, and we were communicating. There was a sender, there was the message, and the receivers, which was the whole group, you got the message decoded. We could be communicating also by a phone call. It always has a sender, a receiver. It has the process of the channel and the message. The communication, what I'm trying to say here is that communication is way more than just information, a sender and a receiver. So I'm trying to make this clear, and so that you can understand what we're going to be looking at through this unit number 1. And we're supposed to be talking about strategies. Why are strategies important for communicating? If we're trying to get some message from one person to other, or from one person to an audience, not just one person, but more people, then strategies become important in this process, because there's always better ways to try to get the message through the audience. So we're talking about a message, and we're talking about something really, really super important here, which is the audience. Who is going to be receiving the message? And also, in strategies, we need to talk about not just orally or verbally speaking to communicate. Yes, we can talk about oral, but we can talk also about written communication. And there are different types of communication, but it's the same thing if we put it into the perspective of the general definition of communication, which will have a sender, a receiver, and it will have the whole process with a channel containing a message. When we're speaking about written communication, everything is part of communication. And that's why strategies are good to consider in order to relate or to achieve the goal of transmitting the message the way we plan. So planning will be part of a strategy. And through the whole unit number 1, we're going to talk about strategies to get that message to the receiver, and of course, to get some feedback, to get some answers back. Because without any feedback, we don't know if the other person understood. One thing that is very nice in particular from English, from the English language, is that we can use the answers, the type of answers, grammarly speaking, when we are using grammar, meaning the correct way of using the language, with the laws of grammar, with the rules. When we use the correct way of grammar, we can actually do the feedback or give good feedback to the sender, so that we are understanding what the other person is saying, or in terms of if there is a question, we can have the answer back with some type of feedback that we are understanding each other. And this is done in English. Basically, we don't do it that much in Spanish. And for us, native Spanish speaker, it gets hard to explain this type of things, because people usually, we tend to shorten down our answers, and then we may be lost into the communication because we put more noise into the message. Let me try to explain that to you. I'm going to show you a little example, basic example. When we make a question, for example, very simple question, very simple. I'm going to put it in very simple, basic English. Did you have breakfast before coming to class? And one very nice thing that the English language has on its grammar is that the answer is going to keep part of the question, confirming the understanding of the message. And if the answer is something different, then the sender of the message automatically knows that the question or that there was something missing in the question that you need to explain a little more. That's why the answer will contain something that is going to include or has been included in the question. Then the answer could be, no, I didn't have breakfast. And we can continue before coming to class or before class. So where is the confirmation of the message? Where can we see that the other person understood the question? Over here. Because it's repeating part of the message. And this is what is very wonderful and outstanding from the English language. We don't do that in Spanish. We have the tendency in Spanish to just shorten the message and we would just say, no. Then we don't know if the question was understood or not. But the English grammar has these really nice parts that you need to repeat part of the question into the perspective of an answer, which is really nice. To me, I think that is really, really nice. Javier, you have something to say to participate? Go ahead. Thank you for raising your hand. Javier Angulo.
Teacher, I have a problem with my internet.
Okay.
It's very difficult the class in English.
So where is the difficulties that you are encountering? What type of difficulties are you referring to, Javier?
Can I speak Spanish?
No, you can't. Because this class is not Spanish conversation seminar. Yeah, that's one of the rules for the class. You need to communicate in English. If you're going to try to communicate in Spanish, then you're looking for a different type of class. But let me tell you something very good for you, Javier. You are now communicating in English. I don't know why you're trying to switch to Spanish, but right now you did a very good use of grammar when you said that, hey, I do have some problems with internet. And then to make sure that I understood the reality of what you were saying, I answer back to you, what type of problems do you have? And then the answer back was good too, that you were trying to speak in a different language. Then your problem is not from internet. Your problem is something else. But it's telling me something else. You understood my question. So far, I think that you do understand when you are listening, when you're hearing something, you do understand. Maybe, Javier, your problem is not about, generally speaking, about the language. you probably missed some little part of it, which will be speaking in English. In English. But let me tell you something good. You are already speaking. Let me tell you something more good. You're not alone. Almost everyone in the class, almost everyone in the audience right now is the same. You do have something that is called anxiety while speaking. And guess what? I have good news for you. During this unit of the class, during unit number 1, almost at the end of the class, in 2 more weeks or 3 more weeks, we're going to talk about anxiety when you are speaking of oral communication. And this topic, it's going to try for you to lose that anxiety. But like I'm telling you, Javier, I'm recognizing that you do understand that you can communicate. Congratulations. Don't be afraid. You can communicate with the English language. What I'm writing right now, if you looked at, I lowered my head, I was writing down Javier because he has a participation right now.
Professor, I have a small comment.
Yes, go ahead. That's Anael, right? Anael.
Yes, it's me. I don't know if it's my internet or something, but I'm kind of hearing the class like a robot. I hear like very good, and then I hear you like a robot. I think that's what my partner is trying to say.
Your classmate, because partner, that's the one next to you.
Yes, my classmate.
We don't want to get in trouble with Chavez, right? Your partner is Alan. And
yeah,
then...
but I'm kind of hearing the class like a robot. I could hear you very well, like 3 minutes, and then other 5 minutes, I'm hearing the class like a robot.
Yes. Thank you for that comment, Anael. That's going to be a problem for the next few weeks. I'm hoping for a better internet connection in the region. I keep calling the company, in this case, Telmex. I called yesterday, and that's what they promised. In between a month, it's going to start changing in the region. Sometimes, and I see it in my computer, most of the time, and I'm checking like crazy the speed of my internet. Like, I'm telling you the truth. I check the speed of my internet like 2 or 3 times an hour, because I see the fluctuation of the speed. I do have good speed, and then the software from Zoom is telling me, oh, now your internet is not good, and then it goes back to good. So it could be you, but it's also me. I have to accept that. Most of the time, my internet is good, but some of the time in between the class and through the day, it's bad. And yeah, we can't do much about it. Like, just bear with it and just wait for the company to make this better. They say that the optic fiber, it's almost done for the region. They've been working on with the optic fiber within Nacosari, Cumpas, and Moctezuma, and it should be close to about a month. In between this month, we should be ready to start switching to that type of connection, which will be much, much better, because it will be like 100 times better than now. It's a world of difference. So I apologize for that. I know it's a problem that I have, but I know that it's a problem that you guys have. And let's just bear with it and try to understand as much as we can. And that's one of the reasons why I keep recording the classes and then taking some time to upload them to the internet somehow. I use YouTube, but I also have to use the drive from Gmail. And sometimes you're gonna see some link through Gmail and sometimes some link through YouTube for the videos. So we can have the class at least recorded in a video and that you can go back and check. Remember that if you're taking notes, just go back to the time that you couldn't understand and try to do something else. That's also why during my classes, you're going to have some forum discussions through the platform so that we can compensate for the time that we couldn't understand each other and try to get something more. Yeah, that's really a problem. I know, Anael and everyone. Like I said, I apologize in advance for that. There's not much that we can do about it until we get better internet connection in the region. Because right now, I'm telling you, I do have the highest speed internet connection from the region. I pay for that, but what I can get is only 12 megabits per second, which is not much. Julissa, you had an extra participation. I saw that you wanted to speak. That was my answer, Anael, I'm sorry. Yeah. Not much we can do. That continue like this. Sorry. Okay, let's just keep moving forward. And we're about to finish this class, I think. We're just going to mention or we're gonna get summarize everything with the next few slides. You can notice the type of communication that we were talking about in these drawings. We were referring to communication face-to-face, which is what you can see over here, face-to-face. And you can see from the body language that the message is getting transmitted and received in a good way from their faces and their movements of their bodies. And you can see a different type of communication here. This person is writing something that it's going to go eventually to an audience. It's not as fast as what it is in here on the left side of the images, but still it's part of communication and the message is getting somewhere. So I'm gonna move forward to the next slide. And I'm going to just repeat something that I already mentioned. Right now, we are using technology a lot. And nowadays, on the year of 2020 or 2020, we had to go to our homes and start doing a lot of communication through technology. And thanks to that, on 2021, right now, on these years, we continue using a lot of technology for this type of communication. Therefore, in terms of communication, technology is a very positive way to get the message through and get it to the receiver and back. So get the message through, which is the process, get it done so that the receiver gets it, and then get an answer back. And as we can see, we use every type of devices that there are in the market. We can use phones, cell phones. We use computers, laptop computers, as you can see over here, but every type of computers. There is a different kind of computer, which are the tablets and so on. And the interesting and awesome, great, super duper nice part of this communication is that it goes everywhere around the world, all of the globe, through the whole planet, which is perfect because nowadays communication in terms of business, in terms of professionally speaking, there's no limit. You can talk with anyone in the world at any time, and the message will go very fast. In terms of less than a second, you can have the message going through, which is perfect, right? Thanks to all of those companies that work in developing those type of technologies. Okay, so let me just make a resume. This is a resume of it. We can have this type of communications, written, phone calls, video chats, face-to-face. It also includes, this is wrong, oral should be here. Oral for video chats and face-to-face. And also nonverbal communication, which is really important and includes all of the body language, visual cues, body language, facial expressions, physical distance between communicators, or the tone of your voice. We're going to talk about the tone in the English Conversation Seminar 2. At the other class next semester, we're going to talk a lot about the tone on your voice. But right now, we're just going to talk about written, oral, and of course, using body language for any type of communication. In terms of this, let me just remind you that I'm using this type of references for this information. You can go back and check the pictures that I used were from Savansky and Savansky from the communication model. It was retrieved from courses for kids because I was using it for very simple information. Then I used some information from Easy Talks, face-to-face communication tips. I strongly recommend you to go and check their webpage. Cool information, it's written here. Easy Talks. And WikiHow, there is some good information, very simple one over there that is about how to create a communication plan. And also from Christine, published from Smarter Where. And it's called 5 Reasons We're in the Midst of a Technological Golden Age. You can go and check on that information. It's cool as well. So I really strongly recommend that you go and check that. And I'm going to stop sharing this one. So far, we're just introducing the topic of communicating. We haven't get through the strategies yet. And for that, I have already uploaded some assignments. If you go through the platform, I'm checking the platform in the screen that I have to my right. That's why sometimes you're seeing me looking at the other side. And you have already an open homework, which is called Creating a Communication Strategy. What I'm asking you there is that you're going to go and read, as is an article, you're going to go and read an article, and then you're going to watch a video. It's a short video that it's called Some Strategies for Communicating. It's a very simple way of speaking. The professor there is really good. That's why I'm recommending this one. Then once you read and watch the video, you're going to write. This is going to be written communication. You're going to write an essay. Escribir un ensayo. Oh, professor, you spoke in Spanish. Yeah, because I'm the professor. I can do it, but I don't usually do it. I'm just saying this. If you have any trouble when you're doing your homework, make sure to communicate and let me know through some advising time. You can ask me what the homework is about. You can ask me if you're doing good. You can ask me whatever it is about the class. So that's one homework over there. We're going to start communicating. You're going to read and watch a video, then you're going to write. What I want you to do is that this first week, I need you to be immersed in the language. I know it's hard because you're used to an English class that it's asking you to just fill up something on a book, and sometimes participating, orally presenting something to a class, and that's it. But this is a different type of class. Remember that this is called a seminar. And a seminar, it's about sharing information. So that's why you're going to find through this class that we have a lot of forum discussions, because you're going to share information. Right now, you're working on your first forum discussion. You are recording yourselves and you are saying something about you. Why did you choose to be an industrial engineer? So on top of that, I'm adding this homework. But this homework, since we're starting this homework this Thursday, you're going to have a week to the other Thursday. Not for Tuesday, but for Thursday. And like we said, next class, we're going to be meeting on Tuesday, martes. That's going to be our typical meeting class. Tuesday, 1 p.m. So with that said, I want to ask you if you have any questions right now. Yeah, Jasmine, Sarai, you have a question? Go ahead, use the time,
Yes,
please.
I have a question. I don't know if I'm going to talk well, but I will try. So in a moment, we talk about anxiety and that we're talking, no?
Mhm.
So I have a question because during the quarantine, we didn't see each other. So when I see people, I get anxiety of communication. So I can talk with people, I can communicate with the body language. So my question is, if is any stress strategic, so we can beat that.
Is there any exercise or any, actually, well, yes and no. Let me tell you the no why. I'm gonna answer the no first and then the yes. Not really a lot of things, because this is the first one for our generation, including your parents and grandparents, my age and your age, and the younger ones. This is the first time for all of us going through some pandemic and some very hard times. So since this is the first time that everybody in the world has to be indoors and trying to work indoors, trying to study inside your house and trying to do everything from your house. Therefore, yes, there is some anxiety added to the one that you already developed when you are communicating. So right now, yes, we are confronting that every person in the world is having some anxiety. So there is more than that. And that's why I'm trying to explain the no first, that we don't know how much anxiety everybody has. But yes, there is a yes, because there's always good news. There are some techniques and exercises to beat that. First thing that I can tell you, it's about practicing by yourself, practicing a lot. You got to train yourself. How do you start training yourself to speak in either in Spanish but to speak in English? You can use a very simple thing, which is a mirror. Yeah, a mirror, un espejo. Go ahead and speak to yourself in front of a mirror. I know it sounds crazy, but in terms of communication, if you want to make it better, if you want to better the way or your skills for communicating, that technique is really useful. Go find a mirror in your house and try to speak to yourself. Practice. Take a look at the way you move your body, your eyes, your mouth movements, your hands. Take a look at yourself, because first you need to understand how do you react. And there are other techniques. Then you move forward and start practicing with another person. You get yourself some classmate, some friend, you get yourself a partner to practice. There are some more techniques that are going to be more deep and that are going to help you have or develop a better way for yourself to move. When we go to that class, you're gonna see, because I told you at the end of this unit, we're gonna talk a little more about this. We're gonna talk about the anxiety in front of an audience. And for those things, there are advices like going to the bathroom before you speak for like 10 minutes before, doing some exercises for your face, for your mind, having a structure for the things that you're gonna say, include a story at the beginning of your speech, and so on. So there are certain ways to avoid looking through the audience in the wrong way and to avoid stopping speaking. And to feel that the nervousness, which is part of the anxiety, that the nervousness that you're feeling is fading down, meaning like desapareciendo. But it takes some time. It's not like everybody's perfect and like everybody can speak really good. No, even the best speakers in the world, the people that you see that goes through and gives big conferences, even they still get some anxiety. But they have learned to fight it. And with time, fades down, becomes like little. So Jasmine Sarai, it's going to be a process. So I'm just promising you that if you take the time to practice, if you follow the techniques, it will get better. It might not be perfect, but it will get better for you and for everyone and for me also. We need to tell ourselves and also use our cognitive part, our understanding, our intelligence to help us do that. Because if we let our anxiety win, then it becomes a very complicated psychological problem. But that can also be helped. We just need to go and look for some psychologists and sometimes for some psychiatrists. I'm saying that sometimes psychiatrists, because some people, their anxiety becomes really hard, that they cannot sleep at night. And so they become very tired, they cannot concentrate, and they need medication for that. So in order to get medication help, you need a psychiatrist for that. That's the doctor that can help you with medicine. But that has to be controlled, very carefully controlled, because you can get addicted to those type of medicines. That's why you go to a psychiatrist, because you don't want to get addicted, right? And it has to be controlled, like I'm saying. So yeah, I mean, the good news is like, it should be temporary. We should be able to start going out when it's safe, and we should be able to calm down our anxiety by training to it and by practicing. So don't worry too much. everybody in the world is feeling the same as you, Sarai. I'm feeling something like you are feeling it, but we have to work on it. And since we are smart, intelligent, and we're going to be working on it, if we see more people suffering from that, we should help them too. That's part of being responsible as being part of a society, because you're not alone. We are here and we should work as a group. This is the interesting
Thank
and
you,
nice
teacher.
part. And this
Professor,
is the,
sorry.
no, that's fine. I understand when you said teacher, and it's fine. Like I'm saying, professor is the correct way, the formal way to say it. But I understand if you tell me teacher, it's fine. But very good points that thank you very much. This is the things that help us communicate no matter what the topic is. And we can always take the time to speak if it is a different topic, but we can go back and relate it to what we're talking right now. There should be strategies to help us, and there are strategies. And yes, we're not the experts on the field of psychology. And that's why when we find that some things like very strong anxiety are blocking someone or yourself or myself, we can go and ask the experts. They exist and they are everywhere. So don't worry too much. We're gonna get through. It should get better.
Thank you. That gives me hope.
It should get better. And if you want to talk sometime with me or with somebody else about this outside the class in Spanish or English, that's fine. We can go and talk and we can help each other, of course. All right, guys, any other question or comments that you want to share right now? All right, there's some silence. If there is no comments or no extra comments right now, I'm gonna say that we finish our class for today and we're going to meet next week on Tuesday. All right, next Tuesday. We see each other next Tuesday. Just wait for the video. If you wanna go back and check for the video, remember it can take 3, 5, 6 hours, sometimes a day. But eventually it's not going to take more than 2 days that you're going to have the video of the class posted on the model for that week on the platform. Okay, so it was nice to see you, and if you have any questions that you want to discuss outside the class, make sure to contact me. I'm always available for you. You already know me, so you know that I'm going to answer back to you. Have a nice weekend. It's almost the weekend. It smells like the weekend. Have a nice weekend, and I'll see you next week. Bye-bye.
Bye, teacher. Thank you. See you later.
Bye.
Have a nice weekend.